Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timo Parker. I'm a vocal coach and I'm here to help you to improve your singing voice. I just finished up a lesson with a student of mine, and when we were working in class I realized I haven't shared with you the best head voice exercise that you can do here on YouTube. So shout out to Min requesting this video. Here it is. I think a lot of you will benefit from it. But before you jump into the exercise, just make sure that you've seen the previous videos that I will link below, where I talk about a low larynx, aka thyroid cartilage, and also a wide thyroid cartilage, because these are some essential things that you need to know and some other things. So make sure to check it out below. And also, if you're interested in working with me, head over to my website. I offer private classes where we can work on your singing voice and we can set personalized goals. It's always a bit easier than just talking to a camera. So let's look at the exercise that you can do to improve your head voice. So first of all, I want to mention that there's not just one exercise that will unlock your high register, your higher notes, and it is more about how you approach an exercise, especially this exercise, which will help you to grow a wider vocal range. We will combine already a lot of different movements here: sternum up, yawned thyroid cartilage, and open thyroid cartilage, and this is how it sounds. Alright, this is already an advanced height, so don't start there, don't pause the video and try to imitate it. Start a bit lower, but basically the notes we want to sing, it's around a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to sing 1, 3, 2, 4, short break, 3, 5, and then 4, 2, and 1. So these are the notes that we're gonna sing. And also make sure that you're leaving a small break between part 1 and part 2. Part 1 would be 1, 3, 2, 4. Relax, breathe again. And then the second half. So what we want to do here is the following thing. We want to expand our head voice. So if you've seen previous videos on this channel, you know that we want to expand our vocal range by training the CT muscle and stretching our vocal cords. And the best way to do it is with a low position thyroid cartilage, and ideally maybe even open. That makes sure that we are not hurting ourselves and that we have enough space in our throat to prepare us for these high notes. And Aunt Emma, unlike the other exercises where we go away from the high note fairly quickly, is more about sustaining an open throat while we are singing a full phrase. So this exercise is typically a bit more demanding on our muscles than, for example, a 5-1, for example, where we have a high note, we hit it for a short time, and then we go down immediately. With Aunt Emma, we have to keep everything open, and this is where the difficulty can start. So first of all, let's talk about what movements we have to integrate. Whenever we go towards the higher note, what we want to do is that the larynx or the thyroid cartilage goes lower towards the higher note and the sternum comes up, so that these two can meet. So the ugulum and the thyroid cartilage towards a higher note. That would mean towards the higher note we want to raise the sternum and bring our thyroid cartilage into a lower position, and on the top we have the sternum high, low position thyroid cartilage. We keep it in this very open low position and go all the way down. So first I'm going to refer to the sternum. When I say low, the sternum is low. When I say high, the sternum is high. And the larynx is doing the opposite. So when I say low, the larynx is in a rest position. And when my sternum goes high, we want to yawn and bring the larynx closer to the ugulum. So this is what we want to do. Low, low, high, low, high. Low, high, and back down. Just talking through the steps, you don't have to say the words when you are singing these exercises. We just want to keep the schwa sound where we just like a sigh, like a yawny sound, and then the exercise sounds like this. Let's do one more here. when you're doing this exercise, don't over-focus on the intonation at first. We just want to gain the space. Of course, we want to try to sing in tune, but if you are lower and you can't really get the right pitch, don't worry about it too much. Of course, the goal is to work towards good intonation, but for now, we just want to create space. Make sure when you do this exercise that you're not flipping into something else. For example, falsetto. I'm also talking about it in a different video. I can link it here and also below in the description. But what should not happen is the following. So for example, so that was not really falsetto in my case, but what I did is just that everything collapses completely and I had a very thin sounding voice. So this is something we don't want. We want to keep everything open, the room open, and we want to keep this yawny sensation and this open sound when we do this exercise. Very important, because otherwise we are not training the muscles that keeps the system open, and we're just training this falsetto where we clip off the vocal cords, and this is something that we don't want to train. And we don't want to train that because we want to focus on things that we can't do yet, and most of the times what we can't do is keep our thyroid cartilage or larynx in a low position when we sing higher notes. What typically happens if you are not trained is that the larynx just creeps up to a point where it's really, really high in your throat and you can't do anything, and the sound gets very thin, very small, and maybe it gets really uncomfortable because you start tensing, and this is something we don't want. So we have to practice things that we can't do. And that means for a high percentage of people, let's say 99%, the training has to be around keeping the thyroid cartilage or larynx in a mid or low position, because typically it is very easy to let the larynx just rise up. So we have to train the opposite. And when you do this exercise, it is really important, also when you sing songs in the beginning, that you have more of an opera-like sound of this open head voices, yoni sound, because it is very unlikely if you keep your system open and you have this kind of sound that you go into falsetto. And even though we might not want this sound for example, for a pop song, we need to have the space and the muscles to be able to do that. Because doing less than this, so having the thyroid cartilage in a more narrow position and maybe in a higher position, is easier. It is harder to keep it low and be open for higher notes. And when you can do that, you can also go a step back and just have it more narrow and in a higher position in your throat. So you don't necessarily have to do this kind of note combination, this kind of exercise. It is just important that whatever exercise you are doing for your head voice, it is about opening your throat, it is about open sounds, because this is the way you can progress with your voice and you can actually make some progress, because when everything collapses, you're not training a thyroid cartilage to stay open and stay low, which we most of the times need the most. I just want to add that this exercise is equally important for men and women. Head voice functions pretty much the same way for both genders. So make sure that you're incorporating this exercise or another head voice exercise with the same focus into your routine, because this is the bread and butter of your practice and for your voice development, that you start building a strong head voice that you can rely on and build on top of it. So start with this exercise below your breaking point. I'm just making something up. Let's say your breaking point is around D4, so the D over the middle C. Just make sure that you're starting maybe a fourth below, so that would mean your first chord is not G major, because this is where the high note D, the fifth, is the highest note. So you would start, for example, let's say with a D major chord. So, and slowly work your way up. Because when you start lower, you make sure that you're not already starting out with falsetto, and you want to keep this open yoni sound and keep it throughout the whole exercise. Also, it's important to note that Aunt Emma, because we have to sustain an open system for higher notes, it is much more demanding on our muscles, and that also means that most likely you will not be able to sing as high as you can do it, for example, with a fifth exercise. So for example, with this thing, you can typically go higher than if you're doing this Aunt Emma exercise. So make sure before you're incorporating this exercise into your practice routine that you are already able to keep your thyroid cartilage or larynx in a lower position, that you can open it up and that you have overall already a bit of space in your throat before you start with this exercise. And typically this exercise maxes out around a third or fourth away from the highest note in your vocal range, which you just sing for a very short time. And the on-emma exercise is more sustaining, keeping it open and building these notes. So this is something you can work on. I also want to take the opportunity to thank you all for reaching out to me, writing emails, taking lessons with me. I'm really appreciating all your questions and all your nice comments here. So keep it up, guys. It really motivates me to keep going and making these videos. And I'm just very happy that I can share this information with you and hopefully bring you to the next level. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. And I have more voice content planned on this channel, so make sure you're not missing out on it. And I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.